Okay. My apologies. Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin this evening's board meeting. Dr. Carlin is unavailable today. In her stead, please welcome Deputy Superintendent Dr. Kenneth Savage. We request that all electronic devices be turned off and put in silent mode. Also, please refrain from using flash photography, except during the special portion of the meeting. I am pleased to welcome you to the April 14th, 2026 school board meeting. The time is 6:01 p.m. This meeting is called to order. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student achieves his or her highest potential, personal potential. The district's vision to be a world-class school system. Approval of the agenda tonight includes the invocation, presentation of colors and pledge of allegiance, acknowledgments, recognitions, public comment, consent item actions, which include 3 items under board office, 2 items under academic and student services, 7 items under school choice and administration, 8 items under business services, 3 items under human resources, 1 item under information systems, 2 items under legal services, 3 items under safety, security, and fleet operations, 23 items under facility operations, 3 items under public hearings, and 4 items under the good of the order of business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Mr. Fisher?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Fisher and seconded by Ms. Langford Fleming. Please record your vote.
There it is.
Motion carries 7-0. As the custom of the board, Ms. Jordan will introduce her guest to lead us in the invocation, after which Ms. Giovanelli will lead us in the presentation of colors and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the invocation.
Leading us in the invocation this evening is Pastor Jason Callahan of City First Church in Cape Coral, Florida. Welcome, Pastor Callahan.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me tonight. And why don't we all join in prayer together as we just ask for God's wisdom, direction, discernment in tonight's meeting. Come on, would you pray with me? God, we thank you for this day and for this opportunity we have to gather here together. And God, we're grateful for the men and for the women who serve on this board, for their willingness to lead, to make decisions, and to carry responsibility on behalf of this community. You see every decision that would be made in this room, and you care deeply about the students, families, educators represented here. You see every decision, and we know that there's going to be wisdom brought forward. So this evening, we don't ask for just good ideas. We ask for the wisdom of God. We give clarity in every conversation, discernment in every decision, and we ask for courage to do what's right even when it isn't easy. Bring unity into this room. Let every discussion be marked by respect, patience, and a shared desire to move forward together. We pray for the students in this county, that they would be protected, supported, and given every opportunity to grow and succeed. And tonight, we trust with you everything that happens here today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Introducing the cadet presenting the national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight is Colonel Retired Adam Lewis, Senior Army Instructor from Bonita Springs High School. Colonel Lewis has served 25 years in the Army in numerous assignments, including combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan. Colonel Lewis retired as the commander of 3rd Brigade Army ROTC in North Chicago, Illinois. This is Colonel Lewis' 3rd year as a JROTC instructor in the district. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you. Presenting the national colors tonight is Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Jaime Romero, a Bonita Springs High School senior and the commander of the Bull Shark Battalion. Cadet Romero is noted for his incredible ability to connect with, set the example for, and inspire more junior cadets. Clear signs of a true and natural leader. He has also distinguished himself through his leadership and high performance on the Raiders, drill, and air rifle marksmanship teams. A dedicated and service-minded student, he has served his school and community through food drives, color guard support, Bonita Buddies, volunteer work at Bonita Springs veterans ceremonies, and hurricane recovery efforts. Upon graduation, Cadet Romero plans to attend the Universal Technical Institute in Orlando and pursue a certification in automotive mechanics. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. The character word for April is integrity. The ultimate measure of a man is not when he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. That was from Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Design displayed on the screen was created by Joseph Gabrielson, a 12th grade student at Estero High School. Board members and Deputy Superintendent, it's time for recognitions.
Good evening. For more than 35 years, the Florida Prepaid College Board has managed the largest and most successful prepaid college program of its kind. Over 1.2 million families have saved for college through Florida prepaid college plans, and more than 646,000 students have attended college using these plans. Since 2024, the School District of Lee County have proudly partnered with Florida Prepaid to offer the Florida Prepaid Superintendent Scholarship. Over the past 2 years, these scholarships have been awarded to outstanding students in our teaching academies who have committed to returning to serve as educators in our district after completing their college education. This evening, we are honored to recognize 5 exceptional students who have each been awarded an $8,000 scholarship from Florida Prepay. These recipients were selected by a review panel based on their academic achievements, leadership, and dedication to pursuing a career in education within Lee County. When your name is called, please line up on the ramp on my left side of the boardroom. Robert Spicker, Director of Communications, Marketing, and Public Relations, will present your certificates. We kindly ask that all recipients remain in place until everyone's been recognized. Please join us in congratulating the following students. Caitlin Goebel, Riverdale High School. Jalen Lusk, Riverdale High School. Daniela Almos, Fort Myers High School. Ren Palmer, Fort Myers High School. Zoelis Vargas, Lehigh Senior High School. The school board and superintendent are proud to recognize and celebrate these students as recipients of the Florida Prepaid Superintendent Scholarship. Congratulations to you all. Congratulations. That's awesome. Congratulations. Congratulations. Excellent. Congratulations. We'll see you again, hopefully.
Good. The Sunshine State Scholars Recognition Program for high school students began in 1997 to recognize excellence in mathematics and science. It has since evolved into a program designed to recognize Florida's top high school science, technology, engineer, and math STEM students and recruit them to pursue their post-secondary education in Florida. Throughout September and October each year, every district selects their top STEM 11th grade students based on established criteria. In March, our Lee County Sunshine State Scholars, along with their parents, traveled to Orlando for a 2-day program. There they receive recognition for their achievements, talked with STEM industry leaders about careers and internships, met with representatives from Florida's colleges and universities to learn about program of study and available scholarships. When your name is called, please line up at the ramp on my left side of the boardroom. Danielle Knapp, Coordinator of Teacher and Learning, will present your certificates. We kindly ask that all recipients remain in place until everyone has been recognized. Austin Semi from Fort Myers High School. Alexis Davis, Fort Myers High School. Sarah King from Riverdale High School. And Sarah Huda, Fort Myers High School. The school board and superintendent are pleased to recognize Austin, Alexis, Sarah, and Sarah at this year's Lee County Sunshine State Scholars and Alternate. We are proud of the accomplishments of these students and wish them the best in all their future endeavors.
Good evening. The 71st Annual State Science and Engineering Fair of Florida was held in Lakeland from March 31st through April 2nd. Among the many talented students from Southwest Florida who participated, several students from the school district of Lee County received high honors. When your name is called, please line up at the ramp on my left side of the boardroom. Danielle Knapp, Coordinator of Teaching and Learning, will present your certificates. We kindly ask that all recipients remain in place until everyone has been recognized. Please help us recognize the following outstanding students. From Cape Coral High School, Mason Huffman, who received 3rd place in his category for his project titled Strengthening Middle School Mathematics Through an AMC 8 Workshop, a study of student learning gains. From Dunbar High School, Nashini Fernando, who received third place in her category for a project titled Investigating the Apoptotic Mechanisms Activated in Glioblastoma Cells by Pre-Screened Cytotoxic Plants, Innovations for Novel Drug Discovery.
She's in the other
Yeah, she's. From Cypress Lake Middle School, Alyssa Liu, who received second place in her category and was named a Thermo Fisher nominee for a project titled Hydrogen, using plasma to analyze seawater electrolysis. Probably in the other one, so. The board members and superintendent are proud to recognize and congratulate Mason, Ashini, and Alyssa on their truly world-class STEM accomplishments. We also thank them for representing the school district of Lee County with excellence at this prestigious state academic competition. Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is public comment. Mr. Dodig, would you please address the item of public comment?
Yes, sir. School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. Please complete a public comment card and put it in the basket provided. If you need a public comment card, they are provided by our staff. The rules concerning public comments are posted in the back and will be made from the podium in the front center aisle. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. The purpose of public comment is to provide feedback on district issues such as duties, responsibilities, decisions, and the general operation of the district. The school board is viewpoint neutral during public comment. We ask that decorum be kept and respect be shown, which is what is expected when a government agency conducts official business. Therefore, abuse of language, defined as swearing, use of profanity, or name-calling is prohibited. In addition, clapping, hissing, booing, or a display of temper during public comment is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in the chambers will be ruled out of order by the board chair or the board attorney. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per board policy 0169.1 and may be removed from the chambers by the sergeant at arms. Per board policy 0169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers, 2 minutes if there are 30 speakers, and 1 minute if there are 31 speakers or more. The maximum time allotted for public comment is 1 hour, 60 speakers. You will find a countdown on the big screens in the front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names, 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Mr. Chair, there are 21 speakers that wish to address the board this evening. That means it's 2 minutes per speaker.
Thank you. Attorney Dodig, please proceed with public comment.
Can we have Will Peterson, Vanessa Pagan, Felicia Wilson, Dahlia Vargas, and Yenny Busick please line up? And Mr. Peterson can come to the podium. Yep.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Will Peterson, and my daughter Grace is a second grader at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. For us, Buckingham Exceptional Student Center is a home away from home. For many of us, our children don't enjoy very many opportunities to be comfortable in their environment. Buckingham provides a second home for our students. Yet just last week, at the end of the week, we found out that that home is going to be taken away next year. We're here this evening to respectfully ask that you reconsider that decision. Our children are special, but not because of their disabilities. They're special because they're created in the image of God. They have just as much worth, just as much dignity, just as much value as any other person on God's earth. Yet, at the same time, our students are among the most vulnerable students in the county. And so we would ask for you to advocate with us. We need your help. Our children know what it's like to be overlooked and left out. Buckingham is the one place outside of our homes where that doesn't happen. But last week, as I said, we were informed that that home is about to be taken away. It's a home that the Buckingham amazing staff has built over the last 40 plus years. It's been said already tonight, and Dr. Carlin has said in her memo to the community last November, quote, "The mission of the school district of Lee County has always been simple, to ensure that each student achieves his or her full potential. We're here tonight to say emphatically that that mission will be significantly hindered for our children if they are taken away from their home away from home." Grace was born with life-threatening, ability-altering medical conditions, just like many others that you'll hear tonight. We're here tonight to ask for your sincere help. Please don't make any decisions without us. Thank you.
No clapping, please.
Please refrain from clapping so we can move along. Vanessa Pagan.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa, and my daughter Carmen is a 5th grade student at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. Carmen has Rett syndrome, which is a rare and severe neurodevelopmental disorder caused by a spontaneous EP2 gene mutation. Carmen has lost all purposefulness, hand skills, speech, has repetitive hand movement, silent seizures, and severe breathing issues, along with severe mobility loss, feeding difficulties, significant sleep disturbance, and incontinence. Buckingham serves students whose health needs impact every part of their school day. Our students' lives are impacted by weakened immune system, life-threatening medical diagnosis. Some requires tracheotomy care, breathing treatments, and life-preserving medications to be administered at school. Some additional medical needs include seizure management and incontinence care. For this reason, the dignity and well-being of these students require an appropriately equipped environment with sufficient storage space, minimal exposure to illness, and quick access to nursing and medical care. Also, nearly all of the students at Buckingham have structured feeding plans that involve restricted diets, blended nutrition, tube feedings that rely on in-room kitchens and refrigeration. Our current environment at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center already accommodates all of these necessary medical and environment that both students and staff are familiar with. Removing our students and staff from this familiar environment leaves room for unnecessary changes and potentially exposes these students to undue stress and health complications. We respectfully ask the district to show clearly and specifically how these medical needs will be supported.
Your time's up.
Thank you.
We ask that you do nothing about it.
Your time is up.
Felicia Wilson.
He said that.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Felicia, and my daughter is Peyton, is a 4th grader at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. Her medical needs are respiratory due to lung disease. She requires breathing treatments daily and supplemental oxygen. She is G-tube dependent due to chronic aspiration, gastric paresis, and delay in emptying. She is paraplegic, fully dependent of a wheelchair, totally dependent for toileting requiring diaper changes. She has autism and global developmental delay. She takes daily meds at home and school for muscle spasm, dystonia, absence seizures, gut motility, and GERD. And like every student at Buckingham, she requires close supervision and a safe, predictable environment. I have a son who was previously enrolled at Royal Palms Exceptional Student Center. When I told him that his sister's school would be relocated to the center school, he told me I should not send her there for safety reasons. Mrs. Superintendent and staff, you must understand that the students of Buckingham are especially vulnerable because of motility limitations, medical fragility, and communication barriers, and the need for highly structured spaces. Some students move through their environment non-traditional ways and rely on predictable, protected, and safety supervised areas in order to remain safe. This concern about safety is not intended to place one group of students above another, nor is it intended to criticize anyone. Our intention is to point out that different students have different needs and that appropriate placement matters. As parents, we would like to know our vulnerable students will be protected in this new environment where we will be collided with another school that also serves a vulnerable population but with a largely different needs. Safety planning must go beyond board reassurance and what will be done in the future to provide a safe environment for our children. As parents, we must know that the school we are entrusting with our students is already fully equipped to keep our students safe. Safety measures should address the actual daily realities of our students, moves, transitions, regulates, and are supervised through the school day. We need to know how physically vulnerable students will be protected with consistency and care in this new environment. We are asking the
Thank you. The next speaker is Dahlia Vargas, and would Cassandra Stafford, Cindy Diaz, Anthony Call, Joshua Gomper, and Diana Garlick please line up? Go ahead, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Dahlia, and my son Jason is a grade student at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. Jason has complex needs. He is nonverbal, he has seizures, he has mental impairment. He requires constant supervision and has behavioral challenges. He doesn't fit just into one category. He fills multiple categories. That's why I chose Buckingham Exceptional Student Center, because it is the only one that supports all of his needs in one setting. Jason also requires dignity in his care. He struggles with incontinence, he needs clothing changes, and sometimes needs private time. Having access to a private bathroom in his classroom is essential, not optional. Our lives have been we've already gone through a major change. After my divorce, I had to move from Miami to Cape Coral for affordability and family support. That transition was very hard on him. He now sees a psychiatrist, is on anxiety medication, and has engaged in self-harming behaviors during times of stress. And Buckingham gave him stability again. For the first time, he is truly happy. And I know that other families at Buckingham share a similar story of regression and health decline associated with transitions. Even if you keep the same students and staff, changing the school, the location, the bus route can trigger serious regression and delay progress for these students. So I need to ask, if their mental health declines, if they regress, or if they hurt themselves, who will be held accountable? This is not just a school change for children like my son. This is it's a life-altering change. Please do not take away the one place that is working. Please let us as parents speak into the decision. We respectively ask again that you do nothing about us without us.
Yenny Busick.
Good evening. My name is Jenny. I'm sorry that I will be looking at my phone, but that's where my speech is. Good evening. My name is Jenny Busick, and I'm a parent of the district. My daughter is 3.5, and she goes to Gulf Elementary. She's in a pre-K ESE class. I'm here because I'm deeply concerned and frankly frustrated by the proposed changes to the special education placement. My daughter is thriving. She's not just surviving in our district. She is learning, progressing, and proving every day that she's capable of what any typical kid is capable of. I've seen it with my own eyes, not just in her, but in other adults that have Down syndrome. They work, they drive, they live independently. We recently came back from Cleveland, and we were opened to a whole slew of people with Down syndrome that are fully capable, more than some typical people that we encounter every day. So when we talk about placing children based on labels and matrix scores, we're already getting it wrong. We should be listening to our teachers. We should be looking at real progress, real growth, and real potential. Because a child is already thriving in their environment, moving them is not a solution, it's a risk. And it should be the last thing that we are doing. This doesn't just impact students, it impacts teachers. Educators who have built trust and consistency with these children are now being displaced, separated from the very students they helped. Those relationships matter, and they are not just easily replaced. And I understand that some of these decisions are driven by funding and lack of resources. But with all due respect, it's not a parent's job to absorb the impact. It is the district's responsibility to make it work without disrupting children who are already succeeding. I understand the district may say another placement is available, but that does not make it an equivalent placement. Removing inclusion, disrupting progress, and forcing change is not a solution. I hope this does not fall on deaf ears because the decision affects real children, real parents, real progress, and real...
Thank you.
Cassandra Stafford.
Hello, good evening. My name is Cassandra. My son, Victor, is a 10th grade student at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. Victor was in a car accident when he was only 2 years old. Before that, he was a typical toddler, running, playing, exploring the world just like any other child. That accident changed everything. Today, Victor no longer has the use of his legs. He gets around by crawling. But more than anything, he wants to feel just like every other child. At Buckingham, he has that opportunity. He can ride his bike on the track, just like his brother and sister at home. He can move safely through enclosed hallways, getting from class to class independently, building confidence and meeting his social needs. For him, that's what normal feels like. This school has not only supported his education, but his independence, his dignity, and his safety. They even helped potty train him, something that means so much more for his growth and self-esteem. Like with any other Buckingham student, placing Victor into a different environment, especially one with more severe behavioral changes, would not support his progress. It would set him back. It could trigger stress and take away the sense of normalcy he has worked so hard to achieve. Buckingham is not just a school for Victor. It's a safe place where he is thriving. Buckingham is not easily interchangeable with other schools. The question is not simply whether another site has classrooms. The real question is whether it can truly reciprocate the environment of safety and care that our students rely on from arrival to dismissal. I'm asking that you please allow Victor and the other Buckingham students to stay in an environment where they're supported, where they're progressing, and where they feel like they belong. We're asking the superintendent and her staff to evaluate this proposal, not only as a faculty issue, but as an environment of care issue. If the conditions that support student function, safety, and dignity at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center cannot be preserved, then the placement at Royal Palm Exceptional Center is truly not equivalent and does not support the needs of our students.
Thank you.
Cindy Diaz. Just wait a second for her to clear up. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Diaz. I am a mother, the SAC president of Buckingham Exceptional Student Center, and a founder of Little Voices of Buckingham. My son, Bruce, a 5th grade student who lives with epilepsy, autism, and ulcerative colitis, and he depends on a structured, medically supported environment every day. I stand here not only for my child, but for families who are trusting us to speak on their behalf. In continuation to Cassandra's comments, I want to focus on what families are asking for. We are not here to create division. We are here asking for careful, responsible decision-making that puts student welfare first. Before any move happens, there must be a clear proof that safety, medical care, dignity, emotional stability, and daily support will be preserved or improved. For our children, these are not preferences, they are necessities. If financial or operational pressures are part of this decision. We understand, as SAC president, I value fiscal responsibility, but a decision cannot be considered effective if it compromises safety or stability for medically fragile students. We are respectfully asking the superintendent and her staff to pause this process until questions are fully answered and all reasonable alternatives are considered. Our children deserve a decision rooted in protection, compassion, and care. As Little Voices of Buckingham, we will continue to advocate for all students. Nothing about us without us.
Thank you. Anthony Call.
My name is Anthony Call, and I couldn't believe when I heard that you were going to close Buckingham and move in with Royal Palm. As a driver, I had to take Royal Palm. I had a girl hit me with a shoe. Before that, she assaulted an attendant 3 different times. The girl still rode the bus. And this is what your administration staff said. Well, there's nothing we can really do. They have issues. You know what the police officer there that you have there for safety said? Oh, well, if you want to remove from the bus, you have to take her outside the fence and call Fort Myers PD. You expect these parents to put these kids on a bus in a school with them? Have you lost your minds? Budget or no budget, stop building that school in Alba and keep this school so these kids are safe. I don't understand what the problem is. It's bad enough we have unsafe positions in drivers. And I will say that I no longer work for the city of Lee County or the school district. I'm actually happy, but I can't believe you're doing this. I still have children in this district, which I will be removing next year and putting them in charter school. That's why you're losing them, because we don't have safety. We don't have safety in transportation. We don't have safety in the schools. Because if you're going to put these kids in that position, something's seriously wrong. You closed LAMP to help pregnant mothers with their children. I'm 51 years old. I'm a project of LAMP. Thank God that it was there when my mom had me. So all these things that you're taking away from these children and our children in the school district, start firing some of these administrators and start putting out money towards it, because there's always a position made for an administrator, you know, and they're making big money when these kids right here suffer and our other kids suffer. That shouldn't happen. Thank you.
Order, Chair.
Mr. Fisher, did you have a point of order?
Yeah, point of order, Chair, for Clapp.
Yes, please.
All right. Thank you. Jocelyn Gomper is the next speaker, and then I would ask Tim Tyler, Tara Jenner, Axel Arias, Giselle Gentile, or Gentili, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, and Carol Robinson to approach, or to line up, I'm sorry. Mr. Gomper? Is he still here? Joshua Gomper? No? Okay. Diana Garlick will be next. What's that? No, because there's actually 22 speakers, so there's now 21.
Good evening. My name's Diana Gordick, and for the past 2 years, it's been my honor and my privilege to be teacher on assignment at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. I believe in the cluster model. I worked at Veterans Park for 9 years, and we had a school within a school. So I understand how it works and what it's meant to be. I'm not here to complain. I'm not here to be angry. That's not who I am. I'm a dedicated teacher. I will go where the kids are. I will keep serving them. That is my heart, period. But I do want to talk about Buckingham today. Buckingham is a promise that your student will be cared for today, that they'll be seen, heard, and loved. Buckingham is a hope that your student will experience the most that we can give them out of life, that they'll be in a setting that's adapted just for them fully and completely. Buckingham offers our students a future, day by day and step by step, for as long as they're with us, and for some, for as long as they have. That for me was very hard, to move to Buckingham knowing that not all of our students make it. And when our parents are speaking to you tonight, they're speaking to you from tomorrows that are not promised for their students. As you've listened to our families, both those who went to Royal Palm today and those who have spoken tonight, please hear what they see as their options. Many are saying that their choice is between Buckingham or homeschool. You'll probably hear that in your report from Royal Palm this morning. Please consider what that means. Are students moving from a school where they have peers and socializations and therapy and prom and a track and all the wonderful things that we offer them to a new home? And if the parents don't feel comfortable, they will keep their children at home, and that big world that we give them will shrink to 4 walls. It will shrink to their home, and they will lose exactly half of their experience. My comment to you in my last few seconds, come out to Buckingham if you haven't. See what we do. Please help our parents to understand that maybe it's not yet time, but it will be.
Thank you.
Not by August.
Thank you. No clapping, please.
Tim Tyler.
Good evening. My name is Tim Tyler. And I come before you tonight as an educator, a parent, and someone who has personally seen the impact of specialized education programs in our district. I truly hope the information circulating about the Buckingham Exceptional Student Center is not entirely accurate. Because when I was at FGCU, I had to observe, as part of one of my classes, I had to go to the Buckingham Exceptional Center and observe those students. It was a carefully designed environment built with a purpose, is what I learned. This center was created to serve some of our most vulnerable students with significant cognitive, physical, and social needs. These are children who rely highly on specialized supports every single day. We're talking about full-time nursing care, physical and occupational therapies, and vocational training opportunities that prepare them for life beyond school. These are not services that can simply be relocated or absorbed into a school setting that deals with social behavioral students without a significant impact. This center was not built by accident. It was built intentionally to meet the needs that cannot be met elsewhere. Because of that, any decision that impacts the program must be approached with high level of care, transparency, and communication. Families deserve to understand not just what is happening, but why is this happening, and how their children will be better supported as a result. And I want to be very clear at this point, if the school district does move forward with relocating this program, that they do it not because of financial needs, but because these students are going to be better served than any.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Tara Jenner.
Good evening, Tara Jenner. Have you ever seen the movie Dave? Well, there's a scene there where they're cutting the federal budget line by line, and they discovered that there's funding for a campaign designed to make people feel good about a car they already purchased. That's taxpayer money being spent not to fix anything, but not to improve anything, but to simply create a good feeling. Now let's bring this a little closer to home. Recently, the Lee County School District sent out a mass mailing about investing in your child's success. It sounds positive, but here's the issue. My children are 22 and 26 years old, and I homeschooled them both from kindergarten through graduation, and they were properly registered and identified through the homeschool education department here in Lee County. There's absolutely no reason I should have received this mailer. So how many others were sent this unnecessarily? And what did it cost in printing and postage? And why was that money directed not towards teachers and classrooms, or as you've heard tonight, those that are in special needs environments? This is about accountability, because if this level of waste is happening in something as straightforward as a mass mailing list, what else is happening behind closed doors that we can't see? So to the school board and the superintendent and the assistant superintendent, I'm asking for answers. What was the total cost of the mailing? What process was used to determine who received it? And why did the process fail astronomically? And what was the actual goal of sending it out in the first place? I'm asking that you provide these answers publicly and transparently, because responsible stewardship of taxpayers' dollars isn't optional. And I'd also like to ask the board members, and I've spoken to each of you on many occasions, please, for the love of all things holy, please prorate the amount of time. If you've got 22 people, divide it into 60 minutes.
Thank you.
So people could have finished their speech.
Axel Arias.
Good evening. My name is Axel, and my brother Yael is a student at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. He has Hurler syndrome and has learning disability. I am a founder of Little Voices of Buckingham. I've seen firsthand the positive impact that the environment at Buckingham has had, not just on my brother, but on my entire family, and on many other families as well. I am speaking tonight to tie together the concerns that have been shared. In continuation of the previous comments that Miss Cindy made, what has been presented tonight is not an argument against any student, any school, or any community. It is a call to protect all students by ensuring that each child is served in an environment that is truly appropriate for their needs. Taken together, these comments show a consistent message. Buckingham is functioning not simply as a location, but as a specialized environment of care, a home. Families have raised clear concerns involving medical access, supervision, privacy, emotional stability, and the daily realities that allow their children to function safely and with dignity. It's not about resisting progress. It's about making sure that the progress doesn't come at the expense of the most vulnerable. It's about ensuring that decisions are not made only on paper, but in full view of the children who will live with the consequences. The superintendent and her staff's responsibility is not simply to move the students efficiently, it is to ensure that the placements are appropriate, protective, and truly workable. Respectfully, if those conditions have not been yet clearly demonstrated, then the responsible course is to slow the process, reevaluate it carefully, and place student welfare first. These families are just asking to be heard, but to be included, and to know that the needs of their children will not be decided at a distance from their lived reality. Nothing about us without us. We are Little Voices of Buckingham. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Giselle Gentile, and would India Palencia, Katie Peterson, Lucila Perez, Russell Smith, and Lauren McIntyre please line up?
Yes, my name is Giselle Gentile, and I was a substitute teacher for several years and an ESE teacher. When I was substitute teaching, I had the luxury of going to Buckingham School, and I say that because that school is a fabulous school for those students. That school was built to accommodate those students. The decision to merge the Buckingham School and Royal Palm must be postponed until all the accommodations are in place. The Buckingham School was designed for exceptional students with severe disabilities. Royal Palm must be redesigned to accommodate the Buckingham students. A lot must be changed or added at Royal Palm in order to have a safe environment and to be in compliance with the IEPs of each student. The Buckingham School has the perfect environment, accommodations for the students, individual needs, safety, and to be in a least restrictive environment. The students have everything they need for successful learning and development of physical growth. Has the district considered the IEP goals of each student and their needs? And will the IEP be followed as they're written? Will they be in compliance? You need to think about that. Can you keep these IEPs and these children in compliance, or are you just going to do as you want? So it needs to be thought of.
Thank you.
Point of order, Chair. Yes. Thank you.
Carol Robinson.
I'm Carol Robinson.
I served on a school board in Ohio for 8 years, was a past president. I've tutored math since I was in college, lots of years. I've tutored math in the elementary school at Heights Elementary and now at another elementary school. The last time I was here, I voiced my concern that there's little training in manipulatives. Those are the hand-on things that really help students learn math. I'm still not seeing anything. And now the students are really struggling on perimeters and area. If they had the training, they would understand that. Your website says that your graduation rate is 89%. That's based on the numbers of students in 9th grade to the seniors. But I would like to look at it the other way. You have 100,000 students in the school system. Right now, based on that number, there are 11,000 students who will not graduate. That is an issue. I would like to suggest that you look at what the state of Mississippi did. And what they did, one of the things I would like to suggest is the way you have your math, it's a unit. I believe the whole school does the same unit. The kids take the test. I had a girl that got a 60. She got a star and a green and was all excited. I don't know about you, that's flunking. So I know that it's difficult to have people feel unhappy if they got an F. What Mississippi did is they gave awards to achievement, improving their ability. And they also required the students to assume the responsibility of learning. I am not seeing very much of that in the schools. I also would like to suggest that you look at tutoring, which Mississippi did throughout the state, in the morning, at lunchtime, after school, to help the kids who flunked the unit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
India Palencia.
My name is India Palencia, and I want to speak directly about the decisions that have been being made that are impacting our kids in our community. First is the Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. These are some of our most vulnerable students with very specific needs who require consistency, safety, and specialized care. Moving them onto a campus where students have entirely different needs raises serious concerns. And how does this protect their safety? And how does it maintain the level of support that they currently have? Because combining two high needs populations does not strengthen services, it stretches them thinner, all for the sake of budgeting needs. In fact, there's a lot of that going on in Lee County. Every school is being asked to cut their budget. That means fewer teachers, fewer staff, and less support for students. We are also planning on cutting arts and athletics and asking families to pay for that. And in a district where half of our schools are Title I, that creates real barriers for students who already have the least. But while school budgets are being cut, we are growing the central office. New administrative roles, new departments, ongoing spending issues that haven't been fixed, and salaries at the top that exceed even our governor. So I have to ask, why are we cutting from our classroom and our community first? Families are paying attention, and we're losing students by the thousands. And they're leaving because they are losing confidence that this district is putting students first, and no mailer to voters with no school-age children will solve this problem. Tonight, I urge you to pause, reassess, and refocus because our students, and especially our most vulnerable students, deserve better. And just for perspective, tonight you will be rubber stamping approving $1.6 million spending on promotional items and apparel. And you'll be approving a chief of schools, a communications leadership, and tech and analytic roles, all in the administrative department. I hope you think about that. Have a good night.
No clap.
No clapping, please. Or we'll have to take a recess.
All right, Katie Peterson, please.
Good evening. My name is Katie Peterson. I am the mother of Grace, a second grader at Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. I'm also the parent liaison for the school. I'm here to address concerns about my daughter's school being relocated onto the campus of Royal Palm Exceptional Center campus. As parents, we were advised that if our students relocate to this campus, we do not need to update our students' IEP, since this is just a location change from one center school to another. However, I'm concerned about that. Without review, The goals and objectives included in the IEPs may be compromised when the students are placed in a setting that doesn't yet meet their safety and adaptive needs. My daughter is blind, and finding a space where she is comfortable to walk is challenging. One of her IEP goals includes mobility and more specifically walking. Practically, we are working on her walking from the front doors of the school at Buckingham down the carpeted and closed temperature-controlled hallway into her classroom and from her classroom to other classrooms within the school. Because my daughter is unable to regulate her body temperature and does not make cortisol, being outside in extreme heat for a prolonged amount of time can cause her to overheat, dehydrate, and potentially life-threatening complications. I visited Royal Palm campus today, and the hallways at the school are open to air and offer no temperature control. In order for my daughter to work towards her IEP goals, this would be a very restrictive environment, as attempting to walk her from the front doors of the school to her classroom, or even from one classroom to another, could not only delay her progress towards her mobility goal, but cause her to overheat, dehydrate, and result in serious health complications, including death. I am calling for the school district to review every Buckingham student's IEP with the IEP team to ensure that all of these federal documents include current objectives and goals that can be safely met if they transition to the environment at Royal Palm. I am concerned that this process will show that the Royal Palm campus, even if adapted in significant ways, will actually be a more restrictive environment for our students than moving them towards the least restrictive environment that the district strives to maintain for all students. Again, we ask that you do nothing about us without us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lucila Perez.
Good evening. My name is Lucila. I'm not a parent, but I am a sister of a student that goes to the Buckingham Exceptional Student Center. And I kind of wanted just to bring a different perspective. So I've been a Lee County student my whole life. I've been in Best Buddies, and I've basically grown up with students of special needs. And I've seen first-handedly how, certain students with behavioral issues have physically attacked other students and other, like teachers, for example, and they just really impose a danger, not only to themselves, but to others. And my sister is nonverbal, and I know that many other students are nonverbal or have no way of speaking up, and I feel like it's completely unfair for them to be put in a different situation where if they were attacked or harmed or injured, they have no way of speaking up. It kind of just goes by, and they're hurting either physically, emotionally, mentally, with no way of telling or reaching out. I also wanted to point out how we all have our certain routines, right? We wake up, I go to school, you guys go to work, you guys get home, and once something extraneous comes in, you begin to get frustrated or just become overwhelmed, right? So I want you to put yourself in their shoes, right? This is a big change. Me, for example, I just transferred schools this year, and I'm still adapting, and the school year's almost over. So for them to have this big change and have no way of reaching out or getting help or just talk about it, I just really want you guys to think about that. Because here they have a family. I've seen it. They all know each other. They're all friends. The teachers, the mentors, the administration, the students, it's one big family. And for you to break this family apart and put them in potential danger, I think that you guys need to revise your decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Russell Smith is the next speaker, and would Miss Kirsten Weaver and Robert Podskishi please line up?
Hi, everyone. I'm Russell Smith. Thank you for hearing us today.
Sir, if you could just raise the microphone, it'll catch you better. Thank you.
All right. First off, Buckingham is not just a school for us. It's a family. It's a place. It's a home for all of us to be. I've been volunteering there for 3 years now, and these kids have taught me things like stuff that I would have never even expected. My daughter, Alyssa, goes there, and she doesn't have a voice. She can't come home and say, Daddy Russ, somebody hurt me today, or I fell, or a lot of these kids, most of these kids can't do that. When we were at the school today for the open house, every time it was addressed of how are our kids going to be protected, and the best answer they could give us was, we'll try, we'll do our best. That's unacceptable to me. And it just, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare anything. I'm just up here just talking and expressing myself because they can't. We are their voices. We are their advocate. We're the only ones that can say what is best for them. And for anybody else to say what is best for our child is just wrong. They're already where it is best for them. There's no other place. Buckingham is home. It's family. It's safety. It's where we belong.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Lauren McIntyre.
Good evening. My name is Lauren McIntyre. I'm a Lee County taxpayer and have a 7-year-old at Treeline Elementary. I hope that you all and all district personnel understand that keeping our children safe is a top priority. As a former highly effective Florida public educator, I know it all too well. I was a special needs educator. Please do not shut down this school. That's not what I'm here to talk about tonight, but happy to use some of my time to add. The very child I have fought to protect this week, I would have sacrificed with myself to protect my students in an active emergency situation. Let that sink in for a second, because that is equally your responsibility as a district. There was a situation with an impromptu and hastily made bus change that would endanger my 7-year-old and a 6-year-old little girl. I'm relieved that transportation made the right choice and reversed the change, but the community and the board must know the hoops required. First, the message came from a person at the school I've never heard of. She pushed responsibility off to transportation. Transportation then pushed responsibility back to the school. The woman from the school never returned our call. I pushed harder into transportation and for board guidance. In the 11th hour, we were able to correct the concern thanks to the superintendent's office and transportation. And it took all my time and energy. We were given 3 different excuses, but I would call them lies. The first one was child safety, which wasn't an issue. The second was that buses weren't allowed on private roads, which is also not an issue. And number 3, that it was a mistake made from before. We need honesty, transparency, and open lines of communication with those entrusted with safeguarding our babies. We need better leadership from all facets of this district. We need you to lead with integrity. Thank you for doing the right thing by my child. I hope you can do that for all our children. We are here to collaborate in the future and will hold you accountable for promises made. Thank you.
Thank you. Kirsten Weaver.
Hello, my name is Kirsten Weaver. I have over a decade of experience in schools and teaching, and I'm here to represent my son, Samuel. Sammy has a rare genetic mutation. There are only 500 worldwide. My concerns are for the future of the ESC department in Lee County. This year, we're signing him up for kindergarten after spending 3 years in the ESC pre-K program at Allen Park Elementary. We were signed up for Tice Elementary School and then recently told he's now going to Orangewood. For reference, my family lives in Alva. So now my son is being bused, 5 years old, nonverbal, on a bus for Lord knows how long to get to Orangewood. While Orangewood is a great setting for my son, and we're pleased, I've spoken with the principal, he's amazing, we're concerned about the lack of permanence and inconsistency that has been surrounding the ESC department. I don't want my son bounced around to a different school every year. You've heard from other parents, consistency is key with these children. My son has had the same therapist, the same teacher for 3 years. Allen Park doesn't have a life skills room, so he now has to go to a different school. That's fine. He can't handle the change every single year. Over the summer, my son goes through regressions, and every year his teachers brought him back So now we're being bounced again. The pre-K ESC is another concern of mine. This program is the only place that my son can go in Lee County. He can't go to a daycare, he can't go to an ABA center, he does not have autism. So this is the only place that my son could go. If you take away resources, you are ruining the education of other children to come, and that is not okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Podskishi, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Hi there, everyone. My name's Robert Podgorski. I want to thank you for your time. You guys do a magnificent job, and I know you have a lot to weigh in and a lot of pressure to make change, and I just want to thank you again. I want to speak on behalf of my partner, Jennifer. She's a substitute teacher at Buckingham Exceptional. I'm a restaurant owner downtown, and I sit on the board of the RDA downtown. We do a lot of event stuff, and I know how hard it is to organize and also to hear out today. But to see culture is one thing that I've learned throughout my time being on that board and being a business owner at a restaurant. And something that I think Buckingham Exceptional has done that's really hard to put a value on is the culture they've built, right? They are making life-changing moments every day. As we grow, we're going to need more places like this, right? Our population is growing, and these exceptional needs with students is only on the rise. Right? And so to invest in that future as to take it away, I think would be really beneficial. In years to come, you're going to revisit this and have way more flack than you would to make this change. And to deal with that negative, action in 2026, to hear positive news, I think would be something that would help the community. And as you talk about community, places like this are a cornerstone of community. If you walk and spend 1 week in that place, 1 day, even a few hours, you will see that that place is doing absolute Lord's work. It is a temple. It is a place that is sacred. It is a place that should be kept. It is a place that should be kept as safe and as close to the hearts of the public as possible. To take it away would be a detriment to our community, not only to the jobs that it possesses, but the lives that it's past helped, the past that it's currently helping, and the lives that it will continue to help. Lehigh is on the growth, the Alva community, will be growing, and to have a place right there centered that specializes, that has all the bells and whistles, the right location for all the drawers. There's all these little places where you don't realize your forks grow, and all these little things that they've created over time that's very important. And if you need budget money, look into outside sponsors, maybe Lee Health and et cetera, but the stories you hear today are only going to be more and more common, and I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, that is the end of public comment tonight.
Thank you. All right. We'll now move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if you want to give people a chance to leave if they choose to.
Yes, I'm sorry. If you would like to leave after public comment, a lot of people do, you're more than welcome, and of course, you're very welcome to stay. Give them a moment. Thank you, Mr. Dodig, for reminding me of that. Again, next is approval of action items under the agenda consent. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 business days prior to the board meeting. We are expected to review all the material, and we have the opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion? Mr. Fisher?
No items, Chair.
Mrs. Giovanelli?
I have 2. Q1, approval to award ITN number N267521AN, rental of spot coolers and dehumidifiers. Q3, approval of expenditure for contract number C257494DB, storage sheds, containers, and shelters, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ribble?
I have none.
Ms. Jordan?
I have none.
Ms. Fleming?
I have none.
Mrs. Shaviano?
I have none.
And I have none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda's consent action items minus Q1 and Q3? Mr. Fisher?
Motion to approve, Chair.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Second, Mrs. Shaviano. Moved by Mr. Fisher, second by Ms. Shaviano. Please record your vote. Oh, I'm off here. Yeah. Has everybody voted? Okay. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Dr. Savage, would you please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment approved under the consent agenda?
It would be my pleasure, Chairman. I'd first like to recognize Joshua Gomper, the Director of Athletics Activities for Mariner High School. Yep, there he is.
There he is.
I'd like to recognize Chad Caldwell, the new Director for Program and Project Management. I'd like to recognize Dr. Colleen Tim, our Chief of Schools. I'd like to recognize Christina Houlihan, the Deputy Chief for Communications and Government Relations. I'd like to recognize Kevin Calfee, our Information Systems Manager. And also Patrick Misoui, who is our new high school assistant principal at Bonita Springs High School. Those are all the administrators here in attendance today, Chairman.
Thank you. We have 2 pulls to address. Dr. Savage, would you read Q1, your recommendation?
Yes, Chairman. The approval is to award ITN number N267521AN for rental of spot coolers and dehumidifiers to Country Cooling and Heating Incorporated in Fort Myers, Florida, and Legale Enterprises, also doing business as Captain's Complete Restoration, Repairs, and Remodeling in Cape Coral, Florida, as indicated on the attached tabulation sheet. This ITN is effective for 3 years, beginning May 5th, 2026 through May 4th, 2029. With renewal options for 3 additional 1-year periods upon the written agreement of the vendor district for up to $120,000 for the first year of the base contract period of May 5th, 2026 through May 4th, 2027. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve Dr. Savage's recommendation for item Q1? Shaviano?
I'll motion to approve Q1.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. The item was moved by Mrs. Shaviano and seconded by Mr. Ribble. Is there discussion?
I pulled this item because there was another vendor, when I looked at the tabulation, there was one vendor that was actually, their fees and their rental fees were much lower than the two that were awarded that. And this is a rental, these are just rental spot coolers and dehumidifiers. They're not necessarily something we do. I actually asked for information regarding how many we own. We actually own 36. 30 of them are, we actually use, and 6 are not. I guess they are probably going to get rid of them or sell them or whatever. I don't know that they're even valuable at this point. But my concern is regarding, we're supposed to be good stewards of the money and be in physical stewardship. And I can't agree to this without adding, I think you can have a third vendor. The vendor back from 2020, we had 5 vendors versus the 2. I would recommend and would be more comfortable if we would add the third vendor since they're more reasonable, and I don't see why we would not, why would we limit ourselves to 2 when we had 5 in the prior contract. So that is my concern, is that we look at our funds. And then I think that if we're using that, I mean, if we use that much, because last year it didn't seem that we used that many, rented that many. So I am concerned over just, you know, we expect the schools to cut costs. We need to be looking at how we can cut costs too. And so I would recommend not adding this, at least this vendor, so that we can have a better opportunity to save money. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Ms. Jordan?
I have to agree with Ms. Giovanelli. It did not make sense when I saw that as well, because it's a rental unit and it's the same product. Why would we want to spend more money? So I have to agree with her on that one. Thank you, Ms. Giovanelli, for pulling it.
Any other?
And in the information, and just so I would like everyone to know that the district provided me with lots of, because I had a lot of questions, and they provided me with lots of, with answers to my question. And one of the questions that I had asked was there a cost analysis done versus rental versus purchasing and owning? And that was not done. And I think to be good stewards, that is something that I believe that the district should be doing, because that's just an example of being transparent and being accountable and knowing that part of your job, or as our job. And my job is to make sure that we are being good stewards. And I won't support that this evening if we don't add the third vendor that's much more efficient, cost efficient, so that it would be, I think we need to do better, and by having cost analysis on many things that we're doing. And I know that we've increased contracts because we needed more money. Why can't we decrease contracts when we don't use the money? Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Savage.
Just because obviously anytime board members ask questions, we always want you all to kind of have the same information, same understanding. And sometimes you all, when you have, you know, one person raise a question, that might create other questions for other board members. On this particular occasion, obviously because of the timing of when this was raised, I just want to be clear, you know, this is a competitive solicitation. So when people have a competitive solicitation to procurement, there's a scoring committee. They're not just looking at price, they're looking at overall value. They score them, that becomes a public thing that you can access, you can see, and folks can see exactly how they were scored. And so in the particular case that we're talking about, there were 5 folks who made it through to that piece of submission. Of the 5, eventually they landed on 2. The 2 scoring for the 2 that were chosen were the highest scores. I'm looking at the tabulation sheet right now. You know, just when these different folks individually score them, they then put that forward to you all, and then those are the recommendations that come forward to the board. I don't really have anything beyond that other than to say that this is just to speak to the idea of the cost, the own versus renting and so forth. This is really not designed as a significant use type of contract. It's more designed as a contract that you need when you need it. They have, as Member Giovanelli said, when you have about 30 humidifiers, that can come in very handy. Say if you have a water main break and all of a sudden have to, put and remediate, try to make sure that there's humidity control for a particular building. You could deploy all those things. If you had more significant pieces, you might have to contract with these services as you need them. The overall dollar threshold for the particular bid demonstrates that it's not a significant cost item. It's not a significant anticipated cost, but when you need a rental unit, you want to make sure you have a vehicle already in place so that you could contract with those services and be able to go to those pieces. So it's not designed to be something a significant spend. It's designed to be something that is really a when you need it piece. They do utilize the humidifiers that they have. All this information will be provided to you because obviously when one member requests, we want you all to have it. We stand by the recommendation when the procurement committees go through that we honor that process, that competitive solicitation, and that would still be our recommendation, is to proceed exactly as it was brought forward to you, working through the procurement process. Other than that, I stand ready for any questions you may have.
Okay, I would like to say something here. I believe there are some bids that should not be judged the way this was judged. This is a strict rental. This should have been a strict sealed bid and, of a qualified bidder. And most government agencies do that. I know when we're building a school, there's a big presentation. I can understand that. And you have a committee choose and do those things. But reality, rentals, I don't care if it's a rental water fountain, rental cooler, whatever, we need to have a workshop and look at some of these and see what the threshold is. So this, in my opinion, doesn't happen again. This was done fairly. They knew they had to do a presentation. So reluctantly, I'm going to support this tonight, but I am not happy with the process, and I believe we need to look at it in the future and change that so it doesn't happen again. Sure. Now, Saviano.
Going over the bid sheets, right? So we're saying our top two, and Ms. Giovanelli, I understand what you're saying. What you're referencing is in fourth position, basically 25-point difference. So if you're saying to give that person the opportunity, you're basically undercutting the third person who did score higher. So I also agree with Mr. Persons in terms of procurement. I think that's come up a few times. I'd like to have more of a discussion on procurement and that process and that scoring, because we don't have the scoring, we just have the tabulation as far as what was done, not all of the other pieces of where that scoring came into place. And to the point of the funds, I do understand the motion and the purpose of saving the money, right? Regardless if it's a rental, you have the third option. That third option is cheaper, even though they're the fourth scored of our five, right? So I will support the motion as it stands to move forward and approve, but I also do have questions on procurement and that process in itself, because to that point, we are fiscally responsible for everything that we do, and there is a cost difference of about $45 or so based on the top rental piece, right? Depending on how many units, et cetera, that all adds up. So I see your point, but then to that point, you would undercut the third person, and if in scoring, that wouldn't be fair, because then that third person next up should get the option, not the fourth. Right. So yes, I'm approving with reservation. I would love to see the procurement process and have a further discussion on that.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to weigh in on one point no one brought up, and this important one. In this type of product here, where you're talking about these dehumidifiers, and which is what I'm very familiar with, as I live in a community that has a bunch of high-rises, 9 high-rises, 21 floors, and sooner or later, one of those buildings is going to flood out. We have fire systems that fail, sprinklers go off, somebody hangs their jacket up there that has a rental, and they use the fire extinguishers to hang their suit up, and they rip the thing out of the. So there's all kind of nonsense with flooding, and we've been through a bunch of folks in our development that we contract with, but we contract with on dependability, because when you got the building flooded, and you got 73 families living in that building, you need to have that building dried out like quickly. So it's not only about price, it's also about dependability. And I didn't sit on the procurement. I don't know I can understand the question on cost, But this is a product, we also have to take a look at the dependability of the business owner. Are they there? Do they come out right away when you call them, or do you have to wait 3 days, and on and on and on? So I do want to weigh in on that factor.
Yeah. Ms. Giovanelli.
So thank you. Actually, thank you regarding the procurement process, because that is exactly what I think that we should be looking at. And because I question that, I actually read the scoring, and the scoring they really didn't quite jive completely. And like I said, and I would agree with you, Mr. Ribble, regarding how important it is, because we could have a hurricane and we only have 2 vendors that we could rent from, when the prior contract we had 5. So that does question me on the first 2. If they're busy, or they've used we've had a hurricane and they've used all their rentals, and we have none. We don't have a 3rd or 4th or a 5th vendor to go to, and there's 5 vendors here that were more than willing to work with the district. So that I question how we go from 5 vendors now down to 2, and we eliminated one that was the most reasonable. Should have been, the scoring was questionable. That's why the procurement process is very important for us to look at and think. And I will leave it at that, and we can, if anybody else wants to chime in, that's fine.
All right.
I'm willing to call a vote too.
Go ahead, Ms. Jordan.
No, I was just going to ask the same question, is why could they not have 3 versus the 2? I mean, who determined that we're going to have 2? I guess that's.
The committee has the ability to determine at what extent they want to, how inclusive they want to be based on the difference in the quality. I mean, remember that when you have a whole approach like this, just based on scoring, pricing, obviously one component of it. The whole approach, the way they represent their account-related experiences, their ability to deliver the services based on what they project, they present. Essentially, each of these folks have an opportunity to share, this is our services, here's our plan, here's our project, here's our pricing, here's our approach. All of that is considered, and then after they've had the chance to evaluate all those pieces, they then make that determination of where they're going to land in terms of that ability. And again, just to put to remind, like the total value that we have for that is $120,000, I believe, on that. So again, the total expenses, if you look at this item, you're not talking a substantial spend in these particular categories. So again, how often are you actually utilizing these services? You may go through a year and use it not at all, or you may use it very sparingly. So like in the case of like a hurricane or some major event, you're going to have a totally different bid with emergency services, all these other pieces. This, again, for what it is, we also have the 30 dehumidifiers we already own that we typically do utilize. So I'm just trying to put that line of that's part of what the committee evaluates is the quality of the services and so forth. So while I understand we're focused on a particular vendor for some reason related to pricing, they aren't just looking at that. They're looking at all 5 of the vendors that did qualify. They look at their entire package of services, what they are, and then they make the decision to put forward this is that base. They consider all of that. Really, what they're looking for as a customer on behalf of you all, right, is value for what it is that they're trying to do. So that in some cases that ends up being the lowest cost. In other cases it isn't. It could be a number of sectors. Obviously, was not on the scoring committee. So this is just what we have to go on. Basically, the actual scoring sheet. And again, that's every single one of our competitive solicitations above the $50,000 threshold. So just again, we'll be happy to provide more insight into all of those different procurement things. It's not an uncommon question for folks to wonder about. I often, when I was in the superintendent role, would often get asked by folks who'd qualified and maybe didn't make the cut. I've had that probably 100 times or more, get questioned by folks who either didn't secure a bid, a competitive solicitation after the fact. Obviously, they can't engage with you all during the code of silence. There's strict rules related to those competitive solicitations and whatnot. So do appreciate the conversation. Certainly you want to gain more visibility for all of you, but again, I'll stand by that when folks put forward the people to evaluate this, they're people with know-how related to these services. They're the people who are kind of curating what that is, and then I stand by kind of the scoring that they did. I'm happy to, again, get you additional information if the board doesn't feel comfortable voting on this item.
Last one, Ms. Giovanelli, and then I'll...
Well, I think it's important to note that the prior contract was $475,000, and this one is $120,000. So I do want to be clear on that because there is a substantial difference. However, I know that if we did have a hurricane, God forbid, that that $120,000 will definitely, they'll be coming to this board for more money. And this is about indoor air quality, and we've had previous issues with indoor air quality, and not, it's not these vendors that, so please, I want to be real clear on that. It was not these vendors, but we did have indoor air quality issues where there were invoices and they were never at the school. So yes, this is very, very personal to me because I've lived this when it was an issue. And again, I won't support it tonight because it's just on principle and it's about saving money. And the procurement process was is questionable for me. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I don't want to go any further down this because but I think there is a consensus of the board that we need to look at this in the near future, please. All right. Everybody okay for a roll call? Sure. All right, Mr. Fisher.
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli.
No.
Mr. Ribble. Aye. Ms. Jordan.
Nay.
Aye.
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 And I am an aye, so it passes 5-2. Dr. Savage, would you read Q3, your recommendation?
Yes, Chairman. The recommendation is the approval of expenditure for contract number C257494DB for storage sheds, containers, shelters, et cetera, awarded to Amazon Sheds and Gazebos, Incorporated in Fort Myers, Florida, Suncrest Sheds, Incorporated in LaBelle, Florida, and Superior Sheds, Incorporated in Orange City, Florida, with a local office in Fort Myers, Florida, for up to $350,000 for the second year of the base contract period of June 4th, 2026 through June 3rd, 2027, pursuant to the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. The approval would authorize the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Is there a motion to approve Dr. Savage's recommendation for item Q3?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion by Ms. Langford Fleming, seconded by Ms. Jordan. Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you. I pulled this item as well. This is just kind of principle for me regarding this expenditure from last year, just so people know and aware, was only $21,250 for sheds that they moved, and they move on and off properties. One was at Fort Myers Beach, is what I was informed, so I guess that's what cost $21,000. But they're asking for a $350,000 contract. So again, this is where I think we're supposed to be good stewards of the tax dollars, and we've had to increase contracts because we went over and above what we originally approved in the middle of a 3 or 4 or 5 year contract. We've increased our contracts. Again, I would suggest when we're not spending all $350,000 to put that money back into where it needs to be in a budget, into classroom, and I would love to see expenditures reduced and contracts reduced from because we're not clearly going to spend $350,000 when we only spent $21,250 last year. So that I just want to bring that to the board's awareness. We are supposed to be good stewards of the money, and we are supposed to walk that walk instead of just talking it. And that's what I'm trying to say today, is that we as a district need to look at every place and to save a penny. If we expect the schools to do it, by God, we need to be doing it. Thank you.
Dr. Savage.
Yeah, I want to clarify that for us, essentially, when we're asking the board approval for some of these amounts, that doesn't mean we are planning to spend or even budgeting to spend. What this gives you is essentially a maximum that we could even spend without board approval. It's essentially a vehicle for us to be able to then have services that when we need them, we have the ability to do them. That's just for us in order to conduct the day-to-day business of the board. We would not want to have to schedule an emergency board meeting to try to set up services that we have not previously set up under a 1 to 3 year bid opportunity, especially when we have certain pieces like the specific one that we pulled. It's true, it's only $20,000, but when you have kind of variable spending histories and different needs, having a funding vehicle with a particular bid allowance based on how much money we may foreseeably spend it's from a day-to-day business standpoint, it's very helpful for us. This can happen in some cases where it's across the entire district. It's not necessarily one area that could be spending. So you potentially have services that may be facility operations used, but in our case, like maintenance, they weren't using it at all. It's under facility operations, but it was not actually something that they even really utilize as services, but they could if they needed to. So we have warehouse operations. We have the need to store different items. Again, this comes to one of those elements where just because we put a particular spending threshold on the board agenda item does not mean that that is money that is locked in that we are planning to spend for that purpose. It's strictly a procurement vehicle for us to be able to utilize these services. That really applies to a lot of different areas. When we have specific planned expenditures for, like in maintenance for specific schools, we will even sometimes designate what those things are. We'll put in day-to-day funds of what we anticipate budgeting and utilizing for that year to try to be transparent on our board action items beyond just the idea of having services that we may need across the entirety of the district, whether that's a school needing a storage receptacle, whether that's a department that needs a storage receptacle. This allows us within our suite of services the ability to then procure those things and to control costs through that opportunity to do so. So I just want to be clear about that because it isn't necessarily an agreement that we intend or expect to spend $350,000 any more than the last one, where whether it's unforeseen, whether it's as needed, it just allows us that agility as a business to be able to go through those procedures, identify who those businesses are locally, work with those businesses, and be able to get those services in a quick business way. We still have to find the budgeted funds that have been allocated to departments. It isn't something that I just want to clarify, because I think that's often a misconception, is that when the board's approving that they're simultaneously approving a budget item that we anticipate and fully expect to spend this in a particular account. This may be over the entirety of the district that we have kind of portion these things out. So I just want to clear that up because that's also another common misconception that I just wanted to, hopefully that helps clarify a little bit on this particular item as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, Ms. Jordan.
Dr. Savage, thank you for saying that, but when I'm looking at this and it's saying that it's budget, because that was my concern, budgeted from school department funds, who is that?
Yeah, it could be any school
Is it
or
our
department.
schools?
This is so schools in theory could utilize these services. All different, anyone could be used. They'd have to have the funds budgeted that would be permissible for them to use for this particular type of purchase. Right. So if they needed it, they'd have to have the budget funds. This isn't, that's why they're putting that generic heading there, because it really would be an as-needed type of thing. If a particular school, like say example, the Fort Myers Beach example, they needed a storage facility, they had the funds to do it. In this particular case, the one on the spreadsheet I'm looking at says Island Coast. So my understanding about digging into the weeds on this particular item, that's an Island Coast need. So Island Coast would have the ability to secure these services. They wouldn't have to go and figure out their own way to have this. It's already here as something within our district procurement vehicle to be able to utilize this. And that's so it really depends on who needs those services for whatever they need it for. If it were maintenance, if it were anyone, they just would have to have the monies that they could utilize for those services.
Thank you. Ms. Giovanelli, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. So I am going to support this. However, I'm bringing up the point of it being of the usage and a $350,000 contract. Again, I believe. And it has four different vendors to get a storage unit. I just think that's such a broad range for vendors. Like, then who determines who's going to use Suncrest Sheds or in LaBelle or Superior Sheds in Orange City, Florida? You know, it's just, I just feel like when we approve something like this, it's just kind of, I feel willy-nilly. I don't feel like it's really thinking this through and is this the best thing that's for the district and the best expense now? And the school's going to have to spend the money when they need that. I just think it's very generic, and I apologize, but I don't feel like I believe it's poor planning, and that's just my opinion. And let's call the vote. Thank you.
Yeah, I know these sheds, they often don't have a ton of them laying around the size you need. So if you needed more than just one or one a certain size, they may have to call around to see. I can understand why that you might need that. Okay, no other discussion. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Fisher?
Aye.
Ms. Giovanelli?
Yes.
Mr. Ribble? Aye. Ms. Jordan?
Aye.
Mrs. Fleming?
Aye.
Mrs. Shaviano?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Motion carries 7-0. Dr. Savage, would you please present your recommendation for this evening's public hearing items?
Yes, Chairman. First, an approval to conduct a public hearing to receive comment on the proposed 2026-2027 instructional materials plan for ELA, personal finance literacy, and intensive reading. Also, for the second, an approval to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of the adoption would be April 15th, 2026. Third, to the approval to adopt the 2026-2027 Code of Conduct for Adult Students in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of that adoption shall be April 15th, 2026. The approval would authorize the superintendent to execute all related documents. Item 4 would be the approval to adopt the 2026-2027 Code of Conduct for students in pre-K through 12th grade in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 15th, 2026. Approval would authorize the superintendent to execute all related documents.
I have a question before we proceed. On number 1.
Yes.
Is that something we would do at a public hearing, to get approval to conduct a public hearing?
It's just to receive public comment. There's no vote on that item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So just no vote on it.
Correct.
Thank you. All right, we'll now recess the regular school board meeting and open the public hearing. The time is maybe
7:41.
7:41. Thank you. Forgot to turn my phone off. All right. As indicated, the public hearing this evening is to consider Dr. Savage's recommendation as previously stated. At this time, the public will be invited to speak on these 4 items. The time allowed for the public comment is 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board regarding the approval of conduct a public hearing to receive comment on proposed 2026-2027 instructional materials plan, ELA, personal finance literacy, and intensive reading? Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to number 2. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board regarding approval to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with the changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, adopt best practices, promote transparency, accountability? The effective date of this adoption would be April 15th. They will address policies by chapter, Chapter 000, Chapter 1000.
Hold on, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So go chapter by chapter and ask if there are any speakers about that chapter.
Are there any, I'm sorry, are there any speakers for the bylaws 000? Okay. Are there any speakers for chapter 1000, administration? Seeing none. Are any speakers for chapter 2000, which is program? Chapter 3000, instructional staff. Chapter 4000, support staff. Chapter 5000, students. Chapter 6000, finances. Chapter 7000, property. Chapter 8000, operations. Chapter 9000, community relations. Seeing none, we'll move to the next one. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board regarding approval to adopt the 26-27 Code of Conduct for adult students? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board regarding approval to adopt the 2026-2027 Code of Conducts for students, pre-K 12 through 12. Come on up.
Good evening again, Board. Tim Tyler. I just wanted to give my support, especially with the changes that were made and presented to DAC, especially when it comes to Success Academy. I think you guys strengthening the things that happen to students who have been to Success Academy more than 3 times within their school career at Lee County was exceptional. So thank you very much for those changes. Those changes were extremely well taken, and then all the other changes you guys have made to strengthen the code of conduct to try to help the teachers, administrators, deans, everybody else in the school district. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I will now close the public hearing and reconvene the regular school board meeting of April 14th, 2026. And the time is 7:45 p.m. Dr. Savage, please restate your recommendation for this evening's public hearing items one at a time.
Yes, Chairman. So the particular recommendation is to the approval to adopt new and revised board policies that are in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of the adoption shall be April 15th, 2026.
You have heard the Deputy Superintendent's recommendation. The board approved to adopt new and revised board policies in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 15, 2026. Board members, is there a motion to approve? Mr. Fisher?
Motion to approve, adopt new and revised board policies per Dr. Savage's recommendation.
And I'll second that, thank you.
Okay, Giovanelli seconds. Moved by Mr. Fisher, seconded by Ms. Giovanelli. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please record your vote. Yeah. Roll call? Can we do that?
We got it.
No, we haven't.
Just tell her what you're voting for.
I don't. I'll just do a mine by that. Okay, go ahead and record your vote.
She's done. She did.
There you go, sir.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes 7-0. I apologize, people. My computer keeps timing out and going blank on me, like my brain, but anyway. Dr. Savage, would you read your next recommendation?
Yes, Chairman. This is the approval to adopt the 2026-2027 Code of Conduct for adult students in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 15th, 2026, and the approval would authorize the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Thank you. You have heard the Deputy Superintendent's recommendation. The board approved to adopt the 2026 Code of Conduct for adult students in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes to adopt best practices and promote transparency and accountability. Effective date of this adoption shall be April 15, 2026. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents. Board members, is there a motion to approve? Ms. Langford Fleming?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Shaviano? Moved by Ms. Langford Fleming, seconded by Mrs. Shaviano. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Would you read your next recommendation?
Yes, Chairman. This is the approval to adopt the 2026-2027 Code of Conduct for students in pre-K through 12th grade in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices, and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 15th, 2026, with this approval authorizing the superintendent to execute all related documents.
You've heard the Deputy Superintendent's recommendation. The board approved to adopt the 2026-2027 Code of Conduct for students pre-K through 12th grade in compliance with changes in related rules, regulations, and statutes, to adopt best practices and to promote transparency and accountability. The effective date of this adoption shall be April 15th, 2026. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents. Board members, there's a motion to approve. Mr. Ribble?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Shaviano? It was moved by Mr. Ribble and seconded by Ms. Shaviano. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please record your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Now we move on to the good of the order and other business. Starting with board members' comments. Mr. Fisher.
Thank you, Chairpersons. A couple things real quick. Congratulations to Trafalgar Middle School boys and girls soccer team on their county championship. Had a chance to view that. That was really cool. I was able to get out to Fort Myers High School and view one of our weightlifting competitions meets. If you haven't seen one of those before, it was actually really neat. It was my first time seeing one. So was able to attend Catch the Vision in Cape Coral, put on by the Chamber of Commerce in the city of Cape Coral, and they always explore, you know, the cool things happening come to Cape Coral. It was awesome to see the technical college expansion recognized, and there was very positive feedback on that. So kudos to our Cape Coral Technical College folks. Had the opportunity to attend the Cape Coral Youth Council. They had a mental health town hall in Chambers about a week ago. Consisted of the youth council students and some panelists, including our own amazing director, Lori Brooks. Really fantastic, really some great work being done. Also, as I said, we have a ways to go on some of that as well, and it was really great to hear some of the students and their feedback, as well as their community partners doing. I also want to recognize one of the youth council members there, Claire Johnson, for really pursuing the mental health survey that is now going out within our high schools at the moment. So officially wanted to congratulate, since it's on the dotted line, Attorney Dodig, officially being our board attorney and his contract going through tonight, and just wanted to wish everyone, students, teachers, and staff, a strong finish to this school year. Thank you.
Very good. Ms. Giovanelli.
Thank you. Through the chair to the superintendent, a couple questions. Can you verify that YPAP is not closed, formerly known as LAMP? I think that was key to something someone said this evening that was not accurate. If you could clarify that for the community. And can you also give me how many students are at Royal Palm and how many students are at Buckingham Exceptional Center, the number of students that are at both of those schools? Do you have that information? I apologize.
Yeah, so first question, just absolutely, YPEP is not closed. Obviously, if there's any confusion, it's just because we had a third party, different folks delivering services for us. Essentially, we're contracting with another entity to provide those services more effectively. And so that's something that we're actually, you know, that's just not closed at all. Still on that site. And the name was changed. I mean, and so that's probably part of the issue as well, is just the name changes that have occurred over it. So that may be part of that confusion. The second piece, second question, the students at the school, I believe right now at Buckingham Center, it's 77 students that attend. I think they're just over 60% capacity. Royal Palm, I don't know the exact number of students. I can absolutely get that to you. But I believe it's in the 50% range of capacity. So with the consolidation of those camps on one really exceptional student center, it will then put it at a higher, I think, closer to the 80% capacity, which, as you know, now with different, we want to have our schools at a proper level of optimal utilization. That's part of the strategy, but also for us, it's really to create a world-class, exceptional center. That's really what we want, the absolute very best comparative to any of the top exceptional centers that we find around our state where they have that type of unique programming all under one house, with even partners trying to bring really high-quality local partners into that environment as well to really optimize and even enhance. Just as an example, the Royal Palm versus Buckingham. Buckingham doesn't have like their own functioning kitchen and so forth, whereas at Royal Palm they do. The ability to have enclosed areas where they'll have unique, optimal, adaptive playground opportunities. Lots of unique things we'll be able to do with that site adjustment, but I don't want to minimize, these types of things that for the families, for the staff, for the children, for all the people who engage in these really unique programs throughout our entire community. It is so important to them that these people, they live here. It's a part of their life. It's a part of even their identity. It's a part of the cultures. I think one of our speakers highlighted that is never minimized. And something else that came up that I think repeatedly was just around safety. Dr. Carlin, her number one priority before learning, before anything, is safety. And so I know that they had an open house today where they addressed, I think, almost all of the same speakers that were there, minus a few exceptions, had a chance to go through some of those pieces. That was obviously, I think there was a comment made that, just they'll do the best they can. That's not our plan. That's never the plan, to just say we'll do the best we can, but they have fundamental strategies related to all the different facility itself. There's too much to go into to give you all the details of that, but certainly this would put us more at a higher level of optimization, and our goal is to actually increase the quality of services provided to all of our students through this, kind of unique opportunity. And some of the most qualified people in our entire district related to exceptional student education who've worked and seen some of these top centers in some of these other areas, helped kind of build the plan for what was being proposed. So again, it goes back to that idea of, I don't in any way want any family, staff member, anyone to ever feel as if their voice is not heard. We recognize any type of change can come off as very difficult, very hard. It can be very difficult, but no change that we would recommend for our students would ever be made with an intention of in any way harming students, diminishing the quality of the services provided. It's really trying to optimize them to the best of our ability. So thank you for the question related to the utilization of that facility.
So the wonder of Ms. Matthews, it's 77 at Buckingham, 117 at Royal Palm.
Correct.
Which equals 194 students.
Thank you, Mr. Dodig.
Thank you. So through the chair, superintendent, or deputy superintendent, you have wear several hats. Can you explain Schools of Hope to the community, please?
Yeah, great question. One of the state law changes that occurred related to Schools of Hope is that wherever there are schools with underutilized capacity, charter providers can apply to co-locate at individual facilities wherever there is substantial room for them to do so. What this allows the charter operators to do is potentially control cost by not having to pay for additional fees that they would typically otherwise have to pay in facilities. And all of the public schools in the buildings set up in our state that have that excess capacity that are underutilized in such a way have that potential vulnerability of potential co-location. For us, it's not just that. I mean, that's obviously something that's significant, but it's really about optimizing the programs. We're doing, as you go through the budget process, one of the things you're able to do, we're seeing with the ESC clusters, when you have consolidated staff, you realize an economy of scale that allows you to provide enhanced support services, allows you to take specialized ESE positions that are there to support lots of differences. You heard an example in the cluster of behavior specialists. You now make that type of position fundable because you have enough students to generate that additional resource. So there's so many reasons why having consolidated specialized programs is a great way to run a really effective school. But it doesn't change the disruptive nature of when you operate many small programs, whether it's isolated classrooms scattered throughout the entire district, whether it's small enrollment schools that have, very small enrollments of students. Those programs become really important to our community. We've heard it even non-ESE, like Fort Myers Beach and so forth. These become so important to their communities that it's not surprising to me at all when we have families and staff come to speak on behalf of the school that is their home. We as district leaders have the very difficult assignment of trying to optimize every penny that we have in our district and optimize every service that we offer in our district to best capitalize and create the best value for everyone. None of those things are easy to do. So I appreciate the questions. I appreciate certainly the sentiment that came today. And I appreciate our staff engaging with folks directly by going to them, having the open house, having our principals walk the buildings, having our third-party partners that we're working with that are looking to potentially expand into our site to be able to provide services we've never offered in our schools because of that type of consolidation that would be an incredible value-add enhancement for our students. Lots of those things, none of which are easy, but we appreciate all of that work.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
I think that's really important for the community here, that this has been a well-thought process.
One critical other piece that just have to mention, there was a comment made about the buses and knowing that these are two extraordinarily different types of programs. The busing was not meant to bus students from the two different programs together on one bus. That was not set up that way. That was not the plan from a transportation standpoint. And so the busing would still echo the programs and the supports those students qualify for, some of which get door-to-door type of service even in some cases. So we just wanted to make sure, because that was, again, a comment that was made that maybe was taken out of context or maybe just misunderstood, that now all the students would be together on the bus and for these very different programs. So just wanted to clarify that misconception as well.
So thank you for that, because I think it's really important to clarify, and I really want to personally apologize to the families that came and spoke tonight and thank them for coming and advocating for their children, because first of all, that is what God put them on this earth, is to advocate for their children. And I think they are invaluable, and to us, they are part of our community, and we need the parents to always speak up for their children. I would ask any parent to advocate for their child, because that's why God gave them, and they're their parents. So, and for me, I know how scary it is to them, and maybe there was a miscommunication, and I'll take personal responsibility. If things don't go the way they want them to, you can call me and let me know, and I will go with you to the classroom. I will go with you to advocate to the superintendent's office, to Dr. Shaker, because I'm going to hold other people accountable. My phone number is 239-470-7487. You can call me any time of the day or night. I'm usually up late anyways. And I will take your call, and I will help advocate for you. It's really important to ensure that our students have access to the highest quality resources and specialized facilities. We have made the decision to transition our students to Royal Palm starting, and I'm not sure when. That was the other question I wanted to ask, because that wasn't clear exactly when that's going to happen. This August. Okay, thank you. We know that our families, a school is more than just a building. It is a place of routine safety and deep connection. We understand that change, especially when it affects your child's daily environment, can bring up feelings of concern and uncertainty. Please know that this decision was made with one goal in mind: providing your children with an environment that is better supports their unique learning and developmental needs. Our staff is working countless hours to ensure this transition is seamless as possible. And we are committed, I am personally committed, into maintaining the same level of care, familiar faces, individualized support for your children as they deserve. So I just want to leave that this evening, and I want to congratulate those that got promoted, and graduation is just around the corner, but I just want people to know that I feel that this board and this district and administration is committed to doing what's right for children. I know it may not appear to be that way because we can't always have those conversations, but I am willing to do that. I gave you my number and I'll do it one more time. 239-470-7487. Call me and we will talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Mr. Ribble.
Okay, I'm not rushing you because you better get a Coke and a hoagie because I'm going to be a little while, my friend. Okay, I want to talk about
Land is plain, Bill.
a bunch of things that we do right. We do an awful lot of things right around here. I don't know if we talk about that enough. Not that tonight wasn't important to hear about our needs here with this change that we're going to make. I certainly have their ear. But I want to reach out for the Director of Athletics, Dave LaRosa, who just ran a great Hall of Fame banquet last week over at the Doubletree. We had 8. Some of them were our present coaches, some of our former athletes, but I thought he did a great job in the selection. That was another night of tearjerkers listening to some of these people and how much they're appreciated for their leadership and training as a coach. And I know Jada always makes comments about our coaches, and I think she's right on the money with what she shares. On another very positive note, I want to reach out to Dr. Nathan Shaker tonight. As you know, I've been working with him since I've been elected on reading. As you know, our proficiency rate is only 46%. I really believe when the numbers come out here this summer that number is going to improve greatly, although I don't want to overcommit and put him on the spot here. But he contacted me last week about attending a workshop that he was putting on from the University of Florida, and the program was funded by their foundation. It's called the University of Florida Literacy Institute, and they paid for the training. When I got here at 10 minutes of 8, I'm not a big fan of 8 o'clock meetings, but I was overwhelmed when I walked in the room, the training room. We had 170 reading specialists attend the workshop, and they were all engaged. And I was planning on staying for like 20 minutes. I wound up being there for 3 hours, and I learned quite a bit. But the nice thing about it, as I shared with Dr. Shaker, was they had the same approach that FTU, GCU has with the science of reading. So where all these universities are teaching the same concept, which is so important because part of their mission statement is not only reader development, but teacher development. Can we get teachers to teach reading with a formal, consistent process? So I thought that was huge. I'm not done yet, by the way. Okay, then last Thursday I had a great morning, and thank God I wasn't driving. Mr. Ed Matthews was our chauffeur, and I went along with Mrs. Trotter out to the Island School and Boca Grande. I don't know how many folks were out there. I know some of the board members were out there. As you know, we have a situation going with Fort Myers Beach, and there's talk of a charter school. I want to tell you, the folks on Fort Myers Beach need to carpool out here and take a look at this island school. They have 68 students. Only 5 of the students actually live on the island. The other 63 students are from families that work on the island, and they sustain the school. The budget is $1 million a year, and they have a foundation, the Island School Foundation, that raises over $500,000 of that budget locally there a year with those families. Really impressive. It's something to see. It's a state-of-the-art school. As I mentioned earlier this morning, they have an SRO there that's really dynamic. The teachers are engaged. The principal was very engaging, as was the vice principal. They have a part of their building is under construction, and they share a property that's owned by the community center, that's owned by the county, and we're hoping we can get a playground on that property, and that the county's going to go for it. So I know Armour will carry the freight with that with one of his relatives, I'm sure, Armour. Okay, no, I'm still not done. Okay, the next, as you know, I'm on the insurance task force. We had a better meeting last month. As you know, the last board meeting, I talked about being $20 million over budget. We shaved a whole $100,000 off of that, almost another $1 billion, just a little over $19 million. So we did get some of the numbers down. We are changing the folks that manage our benefit program. We're putting that out for bid, so hopefully we'll come up with some better news and some better tactics as we get a new partner online with that. So much for the ITF. And then last but not least, I don't know how many of you folks are football fans, and You know, Lou Holtz passed away here a few months ago, but in my corporate days, we used Lou Holtz a lot for our leadership training. And he had a video he put together. You can get on it, you can Google it. It's called Do Right. It's a great video. If you want to get a group of students together and teach them proper business ethics and conduct throughout the school, he has 3 key principles. And I bring this up tonight because we promoted a lot of people here the last few months. And I think if you take a look at his principle, number 1 is integrity. He says, people ask when they promote somebody, can I trust you? Do you have integrity? So that's number 1. Obviously, everybody we promoted here has integrity. They wouldn't still be here. Number 2 is, are you committed to excellence? And I think all the folks that we take a look at are committed to excellence, or they wouldn't have been promoted, right? They have the ability to do the job. But last but most importantly is, do you care about me? And that's people skills. So as you get into that next level, let's make sure we don't get the egos out of control. Make sure our people know that you care about them, you have good people skills, and that's what really this whole program's all about. So I close, unless you have any questions.
No, I yield you my time.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Jordan.
I'll take over for you. No, just kidding. I'm going to continue on some good things first. Someone had said to me that we forgot to give a shout out to the Cape Elementary School and North Myers High School, who are going to the world for Odyssey of the Mind. And I'm always following people around, trying to make sure that they understand that public school is the best, Lee County schools are the best, and every time I hear them speaking on it, I always try to say, do you have a world champ? Which we have a lot of those. Tonight, we had the opportunity to walk out here and see the high school advanced programs showcase. Those kids are just like, it's mind-blowing what they are doing and what their future looks like already for them. So I was very impressed by them. But now I'm going to go to something else. I really appreciate the parents that came tonight for Buckingham. I am deeply concerned about that, and I just want to make it perfectly clear, because I know it hasn't been stated, that the board has no control over what takes place with that school, the combination of the school, because a lot of people believe that comes to the vote, comes to the board for a vote, which it does not, because that is what is it, a transactional case, Dr. Savage, is that what you're calling it, or?
But say
Please.
it falls under the operational function of the superintendent, so what you're trying to clarify is simply that wasn't a board action item vote type of piece, more of an operational consideration for the administration. Is that, you just want to make sure that distinction is publicly understood?
Correct, because it's a co-location versus a closing down or moving.
Correct, it's not closing.
Okay, I
so-
just wanted to make sure that that's understood. And I do understand that both of those schools are high-needs schools. I was out there yesterday. I did, after I spoke with you all, I went out there and I did look at the facility again. I've been there multiple times, but I still wanted to go back out there to remind myself what exactly it did look like. And I've been to Buckingham so many times. I've been to their proms. I've just been a part of it. Victor, who was here, I remember him when he was a lot younger than he was today when he came up here. And it's just the fact that, we don't even know what the proposed modification to the building is going to cost us. There has to be some that's going to, for that building, because they all need bathrooms. Their play yard that they have over there versus what they have at this school right now, it's completely different. The gardens that they built with the cement for those children to be able to roll there, to touch the dirt, to be out in the yard and to just be a part of something. I don't know where that's going to go, because there is a hill behind the school. So at Royal Palm, it's not level. There's like a little hill that goes down. So I'm not sure how that works. And that's on the side that that the children are supposed to be at for Buckingham. And then on the other side, we're now moving kids of kindergarten through 20 years old will be on that one side. That to me is When I think about a kindergarten child and a 20-year-old being in the same, even though they have different classrooms, they're still in the same, they're passing through everything the same. They have one cafeteria, one single entrance, so just all of that, they're going to intermix. It's going to happen. I don't know how we could separate it. Yes, they have beautiful paint, the walls are painted, the grass is green, but I just think that, you know, and I know that you said you had all these great minds that helped build this proposed change. I don't know who all those people were, and I'm sure it's none of my business, but I still feel that they keep saying they're the little voice. We're their voices as well. So I just want to say how I am concerned with this. And that is all and I love the fact that don't make a decision about us without us, because that's exactly what we did. And I think that we heard it at DAC, and we continue to hear it, that the public and the community and the teachers and everybody wants to be included in the conversation and not just single conversations. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fleming.
Thank you. A question through the chair to the superintendent whenever, if I may ask some follow-up about allocations that were just presented to, I know, our administrators last Thursday. We talked about Fort Myers Beach, and it reminded me to follow up with the allocations that they would receive, since we don't know their future right now. You know, I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but if I could just get some information on, I don't need the number, but how we are they getting their own pot? Are they going to be combining with the Heights allocation because they have their own staff? Just how that all works.
Yeah, I actually do happen to have that answer, only because it's the only school that was, you know, so part of, you know, what the schools got in their allocation was a minimum cost per site, basically to have their own individual sites. Everyone has a principal. Everyone has a particular basic staffing pattern that they get in all schools, no matter how small. They wanted to have that. Because of Fort Myers Beach being co-located with Heights, and because that being foreseeably for the time being, and potentially even for this upcoming school year, something that may still be the very fact, just based on the current status of that building, knowing full well that we are actually bringing something in May to you all to try to proceed more formally with the town of Fort Myers Beach. They did not receive their minimum allocation because they are sharing facility, the same site.
Yeah.
They didn't get the same type of allocation as another school because they don't have a separate principal. They don't have a separate principal secretary. They don't have some of those particular units. So they did get a substantial less amount. Their amount of money that's actually generated by their per students is what creates that piece. Now, that's not to say we couldn't supplement and enhance that, but it will tell that accurate story of this is the funds that are being generated, and if they were to be, say, a charter school or so forth, this is the type of funding that they would have. So that's where I love, Member Ribble sharing the example of these very successful schools that are on islands. They really become community schools, and they have lots of other ways that they can pull in those resources to provide that really small environment that fits the character of those communities. So great question, very timely.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Ribble stole my thing. I was going to talk about the awesome Hall of Fame as well. And that's just a small amount of coaches that we have in our district that have made a huge impact. And I'll even go on further to say it's not even just on the athletic fields and on our courts. It's also in our arts. I mean, we've got students who will remember their music teacher for years and years, like a coach has made an impact on us. So we have some very, very talented instructors in our district, and like you said, Ms. Jordan, we offer the best, and that's what we want to try to remind the public. I couldn't close the night out, though, without talking about our ESE students. I having taught ESE for a couple of years myself, and those students are remarkable. I don't want that to fall on deaf ears. I'm so appreciative of a tribe of people that came out here today to talk about what is important to them. And I'm also glad that we were able to give some response which is something I say a lot of times, our families don't, it's very important that when we send out our communication and our messaging, people just want to know the why behind the what. They don't just want a reason. They don't want 4 bullet points and that's it. This is what we're doing. They want to know why this is happening. And I know we're going to continue to push that out. And I know that they are taxpayers. They deserve to know what's going on with their own child. Each one of those children, I think Mr. Peterson said it best when he said that they're all God's children. Mm-hmm. And he is absolutely correct. Those children they don't deserve it, it's their right. It's their right to have a safe environment. And it's the family's right to go to work and not have to worry about what's going on with their child. So I know that we all heard you, and I know that staff heard you, and moving forward, I would just like to make sure that when those students make that transition, that those accommodations are already in place, that it is a seamless transition, and that as hard as that may be, I hope we are a part of the process. And I hope that you engage the community kind of like we do at the Alva School. We've had some town halls, and maybe that's what we do is we have a couple town hall conferences with that group of people just to hear their concerns and the things that I don't have a special needs child, so I don't know what they're dealing with day in and day out. They gave examples about where to put a fork and where to put a piece of paper, and they get used to their routine. And I know that's incredibly important, so I think we just have to do a really good job through this particular process, all of them. But this is straight dealing with kids. We really got to listen to the families and what they need. So I applaud those people for coming out. And man, I think her name was Lucilla. Mm-hmm. She's just something. I was so impressed with her. She's going to be a big leader one day in this community, I can tell, and probably even beyond. So, I will close out with, I just really appreciate how much our SROs and our officers show up every single day and night. They're not just here in this building. They are spread all out throughout this district, and they are I always have such a great encounter whenever I run with them. So I appreciate them. And yes, we're going to push through Q4 and it's going to be amazing. So I'm excited to see the data in May. That's all.
Ms. Shaviano.
Yes, thank you. If I may through the chair, I know we hit on procurement. So is it possible to workshop that, dive into that further, break that down? I would greatly appreciate it. And the last one, I feel like we beat a dead horse a couple times, and that's okay. So, Ms. Jordan, so thank you for kind of reiterating the role of the board, right? Like where things fall and the responsibilities. And since we had our last workshop, when we had the ESC cluster, and I'm going to hit on it again because I talked about it earlier at the workshop, and I'm excited for Chrissy and that role in communications. That's my hat, is communications, and I will fall on that sword every day. We need to do a better job communicating. And I will give the example again because not everyone watches the workshop. We had our board meeting and our workshop on a Tuesday. The Breeze released an article on Thursday. I was having conversations Friday morning, and I was coded, so that's wonderful. They beat us to our own information. How? So I will be leaning in, and I have leaned in on this very hard, in regards to that spend and the mailers and who they're going to and why, and the targeting and what's the goal and what does success look like when we're doing these things. It can't just be we're getting our message out. We have to hit the right audience with the right message, not just give a message. So So with that, specifically with these big things that are happening, there's always something happening. This is Tuesday and one day of the week. There's always something happening here, but we just need to be more proactive in the communication and how we're sharing that with our families, how we're sharing that with our staff and our teachers, because for our teachers to find out something through the media before they find it out through their employer is probably the biggest slap in the face. So I understand, and I apologize for that. That's outside of what we do here, right? That's the district operations versus board. My mom got the letter, and I already went to public school. So I get it, right? I have the same questions. So I hear you. I have conversations all the time. We hear you, and we're asking those same conversations here. And to our families who came out, because we can't go, tit for tat for every conversation, because these board meetings would go till midnight if that was the case. But we do hear you, and we are asking those same questions when we have our one-on-ones and we're reviewing these plans and we're asking the whys, and then more comes out and we're asking more whys. The open house that happened today at Royal Palm, wasn't aware of that. It's just the communication and things that come to the board. Yeah. We need to know, because we are the face when something comes out. We get the emails, we get the calls, and we get the text messages. We need to know, because we have to answer for that. We are the ones answering for 99% of things that fall under operations that are not in our control. So we do hear you. We are happy to hear you. I'm not going to start giving out my phone number, but we are available. We answer emails day and night. I get my text messages and I answer them all. And it's never a pain. And I will never not listen, because I will advocate for my child the same exact way, so I understand. And I want to hit on the one other piece too that was mentioned, and I appreciate that, Ms. Giovanelli, in regards to schools of hope. So I hope there was an understanding and a hearing when Mr. Savage, or Dr. Savage, my apologies, shared the counts and the capacity. Schools of Hope gives charter schools the ability to come into low-performing traditional public schools. So if a school is not at capacity, it's considered low-performing by the state, and that gives them the opportunity to come into that school and run a charter school out of that school. We don't have to say. They're allowed to open a charter in our public school, thus removing funds from our public schools for that charter school to then run theirs, right? So to Ms. Langford Fleming's point of the why behind the what, there is so much that goes into these decisions. They're not just spaghetti thrown on a wall. There is so much that happens behind the scene on why these decisions are made. Budget, of course, is one of them, and no one wants to hear that. But we're not getting the dollars that we used to get. COVID happened. They were giving out money like it was nobody's business. That time has passed. That money's not coming. And we have to be mindful, as Ms. Giovanelli said, of where we're spending our money. And when we look at these schools, every single child is important. Every single one, regardless of what school they are in. That is us being good stewards of our schools and our students. And we just need to do a better job of communicating what that plan is and how that's going to impact these students when it comes to moving them into these buildings and what that's going to look like. Again, we don't have that information, but that's information that we're asking for to be shared consistently as this progress goes forward. So thank you to our parents for coming out and for the communication and everything. It doesn't fall on deaf ears. We do hear you. And yes, thank you to our SROs and everyone else. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. But thank you to our teachers and our parents for everything that you do day in and day out. I have my 2 kids at home. I dread homework like any other person. It's not fun. So thank you to our teachers for everything that you do in the classroom, because we were in the classroom and I remember what that's like. We were at the finish line. We were close to graduation. So hang in, hang tight, get your sleep, all the things. Just thank you. So thank you to our district. Thank you to our staff that is working so much behind the scenes, juggling so many things that I don't think everyone fully understands of what happens behind the scenes. but it all does get taken into account. So thank you guys for everything that you do. Thank you guys for showing up. That is my time, and I think I probably beat Mr. Ribble and Giovanelli, so thank you.
Thank you. I've got a couple things I'd like to say about Buckingham also. Number one, like I say, budget is not the primary reason we're doing this. And I would support, believe it or not, spending extra money the first year to make this go smoothly. Spending extra money to get the facilities, like the garden, go ahead and put the cement walkways in so they can do that, because it's a one-time thing. I would also like to see the first year, if possible, all the teachers go that are willing to go to the new school, because I think that's very important for at least a year as they get into that new school to be with their old teacher, and then see how things work out and the parents get to know all the teachers and everything. I think it's just going to be a tough transition, but I think we need to look at it as not a cost-saving move the first year. Startup cost, I guess is how I would put it. There is going to be a town hall Thursday evening at Lehigh Middle School. I'm going to be there. Most of the department heads will be there. Someone from the superintendent's office will be there. And we'll have a nice town hall from like 5:30 to 6:30. So come and learn some things, ask some questions. I look forward to seeing people. Mm-hmm. Last Friday, I went to a called Anna's Friends. It was a foster care. It was a very nice fundraiser for, well, no, it was not a fundraiser for them. They actually did not do a fundraiser. They actually just got out there and they got a community conversation. We used to sort of like gaggle thing where everybody puts it in or whatever. I don't really like that. Had a great speaker. You know, one speaker said how she'd been to 14 different foster homes her first 5 years, you know, and she was so excited one year when she had a yearbook, because it was the only year that she started school and finished in the same school. Only one time in all 12 years. And now she has a degree and is counseling and everything else. So it was a really good story. But we have a lot of great foster programs in Lee County, and that's one of them. It's called Anna's Friends. So if you ever want to Google it or look it up. So a lot happening right now in the district. So I'm excited. We're gonna get it right. One other thing, we are not thousands of students down. Okay, I keep hearing that all the time. When we started this year, last year we finished at like 102,000 something, and we started this year at 101,000 and something, the public schools. Mm-hmm. It was, I believe it was like 800 students down. We were down, don't get me wrong there. Some zones were down more than others, and some, like the East Zone, was actually up a little bit at that time. So it varies from side to side there. What happened was we've been gaining 1,000 students every year. So the schools planned on that. They planned on teachers for that 1,000 kids. So not only did they have extra teachers for the 1,000 kids, and they were 800 short, so that's like an $1,800 swing is how I would look at it. So this year we're trying to really have them plan for what they actually have and be a little more. Mm-hmm. But that's the first time we've lost students in probably over a decade, if maybe even longer. So we've just been growing so much. Mm-hmm. So they had to do a lot of adjustment. The state, they come in, they do their first, you know, we call it cheeks in the seats. You know, they do their first count of the students. And, you know, that's where you're at. And there's a lot of reasons why we were down. One was obviously all the ICE things, people leaving the area, going back. That had a definitely, I'm sure, we don't know how many because we don't ask legal status, whatever, but there were a lot of Hispanic kids that were no longer there. So that was definitely a factor, you know. And then you also, like you say, you have money going to charter schools. You have some new charter schools opening. We had some new even private schools opening. Money goes now to private schools from the state. So all those are factors that we're having to deal with. Because of that, problem I see, and I'm the one that brought it up, I blame myself for the mailings. I brought it up 2 years ago to the superintendent. I said, look, I'm a businessman. All over the state, they are losing students. And I have no problem. If we have a crummy school system, I'd probably resign. But we don't. We have an excellent school system. But if you go around and you ask people in the county, not just people with kids, you just ask anybody on the street, where can you get a better education, a private school or a public school? I guarantee the majority are going to say, oh, I'd send my kid to a private school. And that is just not correct. We have so many more advanced programs. We have dual enrollment for free. We have all the different career and technicals, because only about a third of the kids go on to college, so those other 2/3 need something. We have the largest JROTC program in the nation. All those kids, they don't all go in the services, but they learn leadership and discipline. So we offer so much. I'm so proud of this system. And I'm going to steal the attorney's, he said at the workshop, but the 4 astronauts that went around the moon, they all went to public schools. Think about that. So you can get a great education. We have our top students are getting scholarships galore to the top universities in the nation. I don't care which high school you pick. You take our top 10 and put it against any private school in the area's top 10, and we're right there with them, if not better. So I'm very proud of that. Another thing that was said that bothered me a little bit was, how'd they put it? Actually, I won't bring that up now. I'll just pass it on.
Wait, Armor. I forgot one thing.
Oh, okay, Ms. Chaviano, go on.
I'm stealing time back. My apologies. You reminded me. I have a conversations that count, and it's before our next board meeting, so I wanted to mention it.
Oh, please.
So I have mine on May 4th, which is a Monday, and it's going to be at Riverdale at 5:30. So anyone in that community, again, that's the opportunity to come out and speak with me and kind of have those conversations there face to face. So I'm plugging myself. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's good.
All right, Attorney Dodig.
Yeah, real quick.
And don't do the astronauts.
No, I won't.
He knows them by
No
name, by the way.
stories. I just wanted to congratulate the administrators that got new positions tonight or promoted. And I wanted to thank our own Joe Flacco, our backup quarterback.
That's
We
right.
have the best one in the league, so thanks, Dr. Savage.
I'm so glad you picked Joe Flacco. He was a Brown. I loved watching him play too. That's great. No, really appreciate. No, just 2 business items closely with the board members. One was that I heard loud and clear the concerns just about procurement in general, and so absolutely we're going to figure out maybe multiple even engagements just because we really want you to have the information and maybe even some of the specific issues that often arise in that area, so that it's not just an introduction to the what and the why of procurement, but really even when it gets messy, how does it get difficult? What are some of the issues that unintended? What are pros and cons that come through those different pieces? Because I think you as board members, you're going to hear from all sides of it. Certainly I get to hear a lot of it as superintendent when I served. I heard from people on all sides of it. So we'll put that together. Business service will volunteer to do something. Second piece, just I heard a lot of additional kind of concern just related to the Buckingham co-location, Royal Palm, and so forth. So I know there's been a lot to it. Just a few little things such as kindergartners on site. There already are kindergartners on site. Royal Palm already has that. They have extensive thinking related to the gardens, the playgrounds, all those things, safety protocols. They're like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. So anytime you have a concern, we want to have people kind of work with you so that while it's true you're not operationally responsible for that piece of it, we want you to have that comfort, just like we want the families and so forth. It takes time, but certainly the people who've been involved in the design and the work on this, that is their commitment, and we want to keep that visible to you. So we don't ever expect you just to trust it'll all work out smoothly. We want you to. But again, as you've mentioned many times, accountability it is your job as a governing board to hold us accountable when things are not right. And so I do appreciate the candor. We heard a lot of sentiment come through today about communication and so forth. These are challenges that we face, but I also really want to give a nod to our chairman who kind of highlighted some of the great successes. For those who were not aware, before this meeting started, we went out and visited some of our top students and what they're doing, and really not just talking about science, not just learning, but actually designing their own science experiments. That they are doing incredible things. Ionized chemistry that's happening. Actually addressing cancer cells, legitimately, cancer cells through novel, solutions related to plants they've identified with incredible history related to those pieces, identifying things that are actually killing cancer cells in the brain, a particular type. I mean, these are real things that our students are doing. And again, as you mentioned, the type of offerings that we have, we don't sell ourselves and kind of tell our story always just how profound it is. But you as board members, because of the fact you get to recognize these students at these meetings, a lot of folks don't really know. So appreciate that kind of commercial. It was a rah-rah that even I needed, Mr. Persons, to hear just how excited you were. Because, we're so busy in the business side of it, we just forget sometimes these incredible opportunities for our kids. So thank you for board. It's always a pleasure to be up here with you on behalf of Dr. Carnellan. I know she sends her regards professionally as well to you all as well. Thank you very much.
All right, our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, May 12th. 2026. At this point, having no other business come before this body and seeing no objection, this meeting is adjourned. The time is 8:40.
Unless, of course, Bill wants to stay a little longer.